Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're opening up a case file, a really cold case actually, on one of the most chilling poems in all of literature. We're going to treat Robert Browning's My Last Duchess not as a poem, but as a key piece of testimony in a murder investigation.
So, the poem kicks off with our main subject, a powerful Italian duke. He's showing a visitor around his incredible art collection, and then he stops, right in front of a portrait of his former wife. And his opening line is, well, it's pretty unsettling. He's talking about how lifelike she looks. Now, that might sound innocent enough, right? But trust me, that little observation, that's about to become Exhibit A in our investigation.
And that word, last. What does he really mean by that? Is she just his most recent duchess? Or is he hinting that she was his final one? See? Just that one little word kicks off this whole mystery. What in the world happened to the woman in that painting? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so to really crack this case, we have to understand how we're getting the information. This isn't just some straightforward police report. Oh no. What we're hearing is a very, very carefully crafted story.
And this is absolutely crucial. You know, in any investigation, you've got to consider the source, right? Well, here, we're only getting one side of the story, the Duke's. And get this, he's not talking to a detective. He's talking to a guy who's there to arrange his next marriage. So you've got to remember that. This isn't just him telling a story for fun. It's a message with a purpose.
And here's where it gets wild. This isn't just some made-up story. Nope. Browning actually based this poem on real people. We're talking about Duke Alfonso II of Ferrara and his very young wife, Lucretia de Medici. And check this out. She died when she was only 17, and there were all these rumors that she was poisoned. Suddenly, this whole poem goes from being just, a piece of literature to something that feels like a chilling, real-life confession.
Okay, so now that we have the backstory, let's look at how the Duke tries to build his case. Because that's really what he's doing for most of the poem. He's justifying something. He lays out a whole series of accusations against his dead wife. Let's examine the evidence he presents.
So, what's his first big accusation? Get ready for this. She was too happy. Seriously. He takes things that you and I would think are great, finding joy in little things, being friendly, and he completely twists them, making them sound like they were these huge character flaws.
So according to him, she was just pleased by everything. A pretty sunset, some cherries from the orchard, even a ride on her white mule. But to the Duke, that was a problem, a big one. It meant she didn't appreciate the most important thing she had, him.
Then he kind of escalates things. It's not just about her being happy anymore. Now he starts accusing her of being flirtatious. He takes her friendly smile, her kind gaze, and in his mind it becomes a wandering eye, a sign of betrayal.
See, his logic is basically this. She was kind to everyone. She gave the same warm smile to pretty much anyone she met, and that's the problem. In his twisted view, if a smile is for everybody, then it's not special for anybody. And that means it wasn't special enough for him.
And this right here is the absolute heart of his complaint. It's all about his ego, his status. She just didn't worship him enough. She didn't treat his 900-years-old name like it was the most precious thing in the entire world. To her, it was just another nice thing, on par with any other simple gift or act of kindness.
So what's the final verdict on his case against his wife? Well, it's pretty clear, isn't it? It's all based on nothing. There was no actual crime. It's just his insane jealousy and his massive, wounded pride. Her only sin, if you can even call it that, wasn't something she did, it was what she didn't do. She didn't make him the absolute center of her universe.
So, as he's laying out this incredibly flimsy case against her, something interesting happens. The focus of our investigation, it shifts. It goes from the supposed victim, the Duchess, to the man telling the story. He thinks he's painting a picture of her, but really, he's giving us a horrifying self-portrait.
Yeah, while he's so busy trying to convince us that she was flawed and ungrateful, he accidentally shows us who he really is. And believe me, it's something way, way worse.
Just look at the contradictions here. It's amazing. He claims he has no skill in speech, but what are we listening to? A brilliant, manipulative speech. He says he would never stoop to actually talk to her about what bothered him, which just shows his pride was way more important than his own marriage. Every single thing he accuses her of just bounces right back and paints him as this cold, calculating, power-obsessed narcissist.
And this little bit just tucked away in parentheses, oh, this is a huge giveaway. It's him admitting, literally, his obsession with absolute control. Think about it. When she was alive, her smiles went everywhere. He couldn't control that. But now that she's just a painting, he controls who even gets to look at her. He finally has her completely under his thumb.
All right, so as we get to the climax of his whole speech, it feels like his mask starts to slip. His careful, controlled language starts to break down just a little. He stops just complaining about her and starts explaining what he did about it. This is the breaking point of the case. He says just 2 words, "This grew." But wow, there's so much menace packed into that little phrase. You can just feel it, right? His frustration, his jealousy, all of it just building and building over time until, snap, he just couldn't take it anymore.
And there it is. That's the smoking gun. He doesn't come right out and say, "I had her killed," but he doesn't have to, does he? It's so chillingly clear. I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. In just 2 quick phrases, he confesses. He gave an order, and her life, or at the very least all her joy, was snuffed out forever.
But believe it or not, he's not done yet. He's made his point about wife number 1, and now, as he's leading his guest, remember, the guy negotiating for the next wife, away from the painting, he just casually points to another work of art. And you have to know, this is not random. The way he just moves from one object to the next is so revealing. In his mind, there's no real difference between the painting of his dead wife and this bronze statue. They're just things in his collection, beautiful things that he owns and controls.
And his final lines here, they're the key to everything. He points out this statue of Neptune, the powerful sea god, taming a little seahorse. He's basically saying, that's me. I'm Neptune. And then he hits us with the final 2 words, for me. It always comes back to him, doesn't it? His possessions, his power, his collection.
So what are we left with? Is this whole speech a confession? Is it a boast about how powerful he is? The thing is, it's all of those things. But more than anything, it's a bone-chilling warning. A message delivered through the envoy straight to his next potential wife. And the message is crystal clear. This is what I demand, and this is what happens when you don't give it to me. The case file on The Last Duchess, well, it may be closed. But for the next Duchess, the terror is really just beginning.